Hey ladies, this is Underwired. Welcome to the show designed to uplift and support women all over the world.
Hey, I'm Lindsay. They call me the kindest kahuna and the imaginal connector. I love puppies, travel, great coffee, and all of you out there who love humanity.
I'm Betsy Wiersma, a serial entrepreneur and lover of doing good and having fun. My passion is connecting hearts and souls with art, ideas, and adventures.
Hey, I'm Shay Sparks. As an energetic catalyst and fearless communicator, I love to have great conversations with amazing people.
And I'm Sunny, mom of four, here to shed light on what really matters. Together, we're Underwired. And now for the show.
Hey, it's back. It's us. We're here. We're the Underwired crew, and we're so delighted to be here with everybody. We have a very fun show ahead of us. I'm super excited about this one, actually. Today's topic is one that we all carry around in our purse or perhaps in our pants, depending on who and who we are. Yes. Oh, thank you, Sunny, for being the Vanna. Technology. And today we really wanted to just get into the conversation about technology and some things that are good and some things that are not so good, and maybe just have a really interesting conversation about how it affects all of us. I'm just curious to start this all warming up. Are you a technophobe or a techno early adopter? Which one are you if you were on the spectrum of technology? How about you, Sunny? You go first.
Yeah, I would say that I grew up with technology. Like my parents used it. My dad always had the latest and the latest and greatest gadget. So I would say because of the way that I grew up, I gravitated towards technology. And in my house now, if anything technical needs to be done, they give it to mom. So I'm a techie.
Okay, you're a techie. Sweet, nice. Shay, how about you? What are you?
Oh, I'm definitely a techie. I had every social media and when it first came out. I had the watch way back when it first came out. I try to upgrade my phone as much as possible. So yeah, I'm a huge techie.
Sweet. She's an early adopter. Betsy, you.
This is my tablet. You write on it with a pen. I am the opposite of you technology geeks, and I love a pen and paper. We'll be discussing this soon in great detail.
Yes, we will be discussing it very soon. And I would say I like kind of being like, what is it, that creamer, half and half. I am half techie and half technophobe. And I'm a mix. I too grew up with technology. I was the first fifth grader in my class to ever type a paper and print it on a dot matrix printer. So I love and embrace technology and how it can support people, right? And the things we do. But I also have reservation with some technology when it goes too far and it starts messing with my life in ways I don't like it messing with my life. So, there's good and bad. And I consider myself now kind of a half and half. But we're going to jump into it today because I get to do the section that starts with the letter B. Are you ready for this? Dun, dun, dun. We're going to talk about bandwidth. Now, that sounds like a big word, and it has a lot of letters, but it's really not complicated. The way I think about bandwidth is your ability to have flexibility and creativity in circumstances. That is your personal bandwidth. So I'm not going to talk about it from the standpoint of bandwidth, like a frequency that's used with a cellular tower or your Wi-Fi. Forget that. Just set that aside for today. We'll get into that later. I want to know about your personal bandwidth. So some people are really rigid and they have a very narrow bandwidth. Can't do a whole lot of things unless it's in their, inside the box, as we talk about it on this show. Other people have bandwidth that is huge. It's a wide swath. You can have anything happen and you just roll with it. It's all good. So I'm really looking for your personal bandwidth and how you manage it when you bump up against the edges on either side. I'll give you an example. Sometimes you can be in groups of people who bump up against your bandwidth in that you're a more narrow person and they're talking about stuff or they're in the weeds about things that you're going, whoa, that is too far outside my scope of comfort. Can't deal with it. My comfort zone has been blown. Other times it's the other way around. You're the one who's talking about things, which, by the way, we do on the show quite often, like manatees and stuff. But we go to the edges and hopefully kind of push you over the edge just a little bit to expand your own bandwidth. So I'm just curious, you know, how would you describe yourself? What's your bandwidth? And if you know it, tell me where are some of the edges, topics that you don't want to talk about, things that are just, you know, a little bit too much outside the bandwidth that you're used to. Who wants to go first? I'm not going to pitch it because I think one of you guys have to decide.
Okay, I'll go.
Yeah, go. I saw the hand.
I really like Elton John for my band.
Okay, there's your band.
And I have been with Elton John in the second row at a concert, so I kind of consider that my band with. I was with Elton John.
Okay.
He's my favorite band. And yeah, that's what I wanted to share. As far as the other thing you're talking about, I think what is changing in me, and maybe this is relatable to our viewers and to all of you guys, is I think from ages 20 to maybe 50s, I expanded my bandwidth to meet others' needs. So I gave and gave and gave and gave and gave, and I set no boundaries on my own bandwidth. And I did it all to please others and to make a difference in the world was my story. But to please others and to get recognition and to get words of affirmation or get in people's email bags. That's what I was searching for. But sometimes you still get left out of the mailbag. I digress. But I noticed here in my 60s, which I've just entered, that now I am getting better on boundaries and setting kind of what's okay for me and putting my energy and my focus on things that are still good for the world and still help others and all the things. I'm not different in that. I'm just different in the amount I'm willing to take on to do it well. And I feel like I'm more curating experiences in my life instead of just collecting. You know, do. That would be me. And now it's like pause, breathe, stretch, watch a manatee, repeat, and then come back. And, you know, so I'm really filling in more things that are passionate, but in a really, really, really different way. Shay, what about you? Because you and I recently have been hanging out together, which I think is just the joy, one of the many joys of being in Florida. What about you and bandwidth? What band do you really like?
Oh,
You don't.
wait, sounds like
You
like,
don't say.
Wait,
You don't
you're having
say.
some technological issues.
on the technology podcast.
Okay, let's try this
I
again.
was coughing earlier, and that's why I muted. So talk about technology. Too funny.
You don't say.
My favorite band. My favorite band is Def Leppard, but I digress. Like Bitsy always likes to say. So when I think of bandwidth, I think of energy. How much energy do I have to give a certain project or a certain person? Let's be honest. So sometimes I really think about energy and what my energy levels are. And I have been most of my adult life a 60 to 80 a week work week. Like that was my workaholic mode. Like go, 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 go. I can do it all. I can be it all. I can be everywhere and do all the things because that's just who I am. Was there people pleasing in there? Oh yeah. Was there no boundaries for Shay? Oh yeah. And since this new season of life has been after quote unquote retirement, I am a recovering workaholic and really focusing on the bandwidth of what I have now when it really comes to projects, when it comes to energy of myself more than ever. And I will literally go, okay, you know what? It's in the middle of the afternoon. I have been working on something and I need a nap. So I'm going to just take a quick nap and it's literally a cat nap, 7 to 15 minutes. And I pop up and I'm like, okay, go outside, take a quick breath of air and drink some water and move on to the next thing. So my habit of being the all the things, being the multitasker has really changed. So I love this question because it's really for me about the energy level that I was having.
So bandwidth is about boundaries and energy levels, and how to manage those. Sunny, go. I would love to hear, what do you think about bandwidth for yourself? Where's your edges?
I feel like my bandwidth increased dramatically when I had kids, right? Because you have to, right? It's just, it's kind of a funny thing when you become a parent, you look back on your life and you go, what the heck did I do with all my time?
I know, seriously.
Like, now I'm caring for other people. It's like, and then your kids go to school, which is kind of the phase of life that I'm in now. My kids are at school, and during the day, it's like, it's kind of like before they were born a little bit, right? And so you kind of go back and forth. But yeah, I just remember, because when I had kids, I didn't want to let go of my whole life that I had before. And I don't think you should have to, right? I don't think that like becoming a parent should, obviously there's a lot of things that change, but you don't lose who you are, right? Mm-hmm. And prior to having kids, I was very career driven. My career was very important to me. My plan was to climb the ladder at television stations until I ended up in New York or LA or something like that, one of the top markets. That was my goal. And as I kind of move forward in my career, I realized that wasn't necessarily ultimately what I wanted, because I saw how it would reduce family life, and some of the other things that just came along with being in that space wasn't something I really wanted to be part of. But yeah, caring for my kids, I remember, I think I've shared this on the show before, but when my twin girls were born, I already had 2 kids. So I had 4 kids, ages 3.5 and older or under. So, does that make sense? So 4 kids, 3.5 and under.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was like my crazy town. Like, you had to have a lot of bandwidth, ladies. You had to have a lot of energy and boundaries.
Yeah.
Seriously, right? To be able to manage all that. So you're dealing with boundaries more as a parent, and then how your relationships change, right? People coming over and being involved in your life, and how much energy can you expend? I mean, even now that my kids are a little bit older, my kids will want to do something like this is one of our crazy weeks this week. Like, every night this week, we've got some big event thing going on at their school, or, games, practices, things like that. And so we've got to kind of manage this. And my husband and I looked at each other yesterday and we're like, how are we going to get through this week? This is insane. So you're constantly managing your bandwidth. And Shay talked a little bit about recharging herself, right? Following the whole technology thing. And you have to do that, because you just, it varies from week to week. But yeah, that taught me a lot. Becoming a parent taught me a lot. It's like, and you never stop. You never stop learning.
You never stop. And I think that's the most important thing about bandwidth also. What you just said relative to how can we be accepting of all that is and just go with it. And I have a very wide bandwidth when it comes to acceptance of all things. And yet sometimes I find myself going, wow, I don't even know where that came from. How did that get into this picture that I see in my world? So I think it's fascinating how we all go through life with a certain bandwidth, and the whole idea is to expand. If you want 1 gigabyte download speeds, or you want 10 gigabyte download speeds for yourself, you have to do things differently, and you have to see things of accepting all that is far more than you try to cut it out. And so I just thought I would share that. That's my viewpoint on bandwidth and the importance of the energy and the boundaries and the availability to what's coming next. You just got to go with it. And the more we can do it, the more bandwidth we build for ourselves. So with that said, I think we're on to the next segment, which I believe is my dear friend, Sunny.
Yay!
Bring it on.
All right. So we are talking about the R, and our R word today, it's kind of a hyphenated word, but it's read only. So if you're not a techie person, you may not know what that means. So I'm going to do a quick little a little definition off the top here. So a read-only file is any file that is in read-only mode, okay? So you can't edit it. You really can't do anything to it unless someone gives you permission. You can only view it. It's like a pretty flower. You can only view it, can't do anything with it. And that's what it means to be in read-only mode. So I was thinking about this because as we go through life, we have certain challenges, right? We all face certain challenges in our day. And sometimes I know myself personally, I can get into read-only mode, which is kind of like survival mode a little bit, and you can be in read-only mode about certain things, right? So sometimes it's just kind of whatever situation you're in, maybe you're using it as a defense, right? Maybe it's because you already have a lot of knowledge in a certain area, so no one could possibly tell you any different because you studied this topic forever, right? So there's various reasons we get into this read-only mode, and it's something that I'm just more cognizant of now. So one of the things that we talk about a lot on UNN is having your cup, right? You've got your cup and, this is your world and everything. And if your cup is too full, then you can't accept additional information. It just overflows, right? And I kind of view the same thing as being in read-only mode. And I've had this actually with some of my family members that I've tried to talk to recently about various things. And they are just in read-only mode. You cannot crack them. It's like someone, meaning God, has got to go in there and flip a switch for anything else to be able to get through. And, that kind of puts us at a disadvantage because you stop learning and you stop growing in whatever area that is. So my question to you ladies is, can you think of a time that you have been in read-only mode? And if that's the case, how did you get out of it?
I can go first.
I never knew that. Well, I just wanted to comment. I never knew what read-only was. And I've spent hours trying to edit those documents that say read only. And I always get really mad because I try to fix them or save them. I'm not making this up. I never had heard of that, but I've seen things that say read only. And I kind of wondered why it never worked. So I'll go, Lindsay, and then I'll have you say something much more important. But I'm noticing on being on the outside of read only. I'm working with a major national association. I'm a new member. I've come to the table with an open heart. I'm trying to save the world and help and do an auction and come up with new ideas and be a great volunteer. And they are, now that you said that, is such a description of how I feel, that this is how we do it. This is who plays. This is the clique. This is who you are. You're a lowly vendor. Quit thinking. Do what we say. Mean comments. And it's so sad for my soul. I've really had to remember the 4 agreements about not taking it personally because the wall is so high. And then I was really validated that I met somebody else who was a member of the same organization. Lindsay was there. And their comments were, oh, yeah, don't worry. The old guard always treats the new people this way. This is how they do. But they're all kind of moving on and all of us new people are coming up and we're all nice and fun. Just don't give up, be yourself. And I thought, God sent an angel behind a counter at a museum store in St. Augustine. Thank you, Jesus. So, but I really have got that feeling of being on the outside of read only. And I try to be pretty open personally. I'm a little too goofy to get too, stodgy about much. Other than liking Elton John, that back to the bandwidth. That's really solid. Pretty much a pen and paper. That's the only thing I'm solid about. And the rest of it is not. So Lindsay, over to you.
I love that. That's so funny. I think what I wanted to say about there was a time in my life when probably in my early 30s, when I was really going through what I call that spiritual awakening timeframe of having read every book, gone to every guru, talked about every possible thing that could ever happen to you in the spiritual awakening process. And I believe there is a natural thing that happens for people. And I know I went through it where I became extraordinarily spiritually righteous. So anybody who wasn't awake and anybody who wasn't learning about this stuff was, obviously a less than, right? And I went, what is that? So I had read only mode, and I was reading everything. So pretty much it was read only. But at the time, I didn't realize at all that that's what was happening, that I was shifting in my own self and, if you will, making others bad and wrong because they weren't there with me.
Yeah.
Right. So the read only mode did not work very well, other than to take in a whole gob of information into my brain. But it wasn't until I really digested it and took it all into my heart that it all started to make a lot more sense to the grander scheme of things. And so that's been the maturing and the wisdom that comes even after read only mode happens. Sometimes you got to get in there and be a total wanker and learn it all and tune out the rest and make everyone, total idiots because they don't know about the underwater basket weaving, specials. But once you've gathered enough and then it starts to digest into the heart, I think that's where read only mode becomes only more sinister and more of a problem actually to yourself. Forget everybody else. They're fine. They're lifing along, doing whatever they do. It's, if you want relationships with people, it's not a good mode.
Yeah.
I'll just say it that way.
Yeah. And I think our society feeds into that a lot, right? They kind of say, well, it's either this or that, and then even like when you think about our education system, and then you're going to get a degree because you know more,
Right.
you're going to specialize in this. So I think our whole society is kind of set up in that model to make us in read only mode. No, this is what I've learned. This is what I've studied. And I've read X amount of books. And then you kind of climb that ladder. Yeah. But, it's not necessarily the best thing for you. Shay, what do you think?
Well, when you were explaining read only mode and you said survival mode, it made me think of when I was in the abusive relationship. Also, I call it the dark night of my soul, which was very long, many years. And when I came out of that, I realized that I had been just surviving my entire life. And people would say to me like, oh, you should read this book. Boundaries was a great book. Women Who Love Too Much was another great book. Both of those changed my life. But they would say it during that dark night of the soul years. And it was like falling on deaf ears. Like I couldn't grasp the information that they were trying to give me. And it wasn't until I got out of that and away from that situation that it was like I became a sponge. Like Lindsay was saying, like you just learn all the things and you read all the things, right? And I did. And then it started to absorb into my bones. And it really started to connect and, integrate, not just with who I am, but I feel like it integrated into my DNA. Mm-hmm. And now when I'm sharing something with people and they have that blank stare that they're in the read only mode, I just let them be. And I just know that I'm just planting a seed and it's going to grow when it gets watered, whenever that is, on their time, not on my timeline.
Yep. Yeah, I've seen that happen firsthand. And when I look back at because I kind of felt like I was in read only mode. Like when you're younger, you feel like you kind of know everything, especially when you come out of college and stuff. And then I realized the world really wasn't what I thought it was. And the first thing I did was I thought about other people that had planted those seeds up until that point. And it happened to be someone I was working with at the time. That's the first person I went to. I was like, oh, tell me more what's good. Because everything just started to make more sense. When you're more open to things, I believe other things are going to start to click. Things in your life that maybe didn't make sense will start to click. But you got to be open. Yeah. If you're in that read only mode where you think you know everything, you may not even see it. So I encourage you guys, get out of read only mode if you can, and encourage others to do that as well.
Quit trying to edit in read only mode. I'm just saying, it doesn't work.
Doesn't work,
Does
guys.
Not work.
A bad
now
combination.
I know. Thanks,
all right,
Sunny.
So we did our B and our R. We're going to come back after the break with our A. So we'll see you guys in just a bit.
Hello and welcome to United Network News. I'm Sunny Galt. Now let's check in with our ground command, Kimberly Gogan, from the Office of the Guardian. And she has her whiteboard. Hi, Kim.
I do.
Remember, if it's going to be, it's up to me. It's up to all of us to come together. I'm Sunny Galt. Join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for The Real News.
We're back. I hope you've liked the B word and the R word. And maybe you're putting this whole thing together. Underwired, B-R-A. We're spelling it out for you, making it clear. We're not in read-only mode. We want your feedback about things, but this is the way that we present some fun ideas, some interesting opinions, and some super comical and entertaining ways to just bring you some insights for the world. So now, today, I have in technology, the A. I got the A. Okay, my A is Anguish. First, you can see my image is digitized because the technology gods do not like me. I want them to like me, but they don't. And I believe it's because I have a high vibration on this universe. I serve a really big God. I'm a bright light. So I zap out all the technology, and you can barely even see my face now. The technology gods are grrr. The technology gods are barking at me. Okay, anguish. I'd like to read you the definition of anguish because this is how I feel around technology. Severe mental or physical pain or suffering. Right? Verb, to be extremely distressed. These synonyms for anguish. This is how I feel about technology, ladies. Agony, pain, torment, torture, suffering, distress, angst, misery, sorrow, hell on earth. Okay? Now, I am not kidding. Technology is not my friend. I am the person that has to yell, honey, honey. The Wi-Fi went out. The camera's not working. My light isn't bright enough. My image is digitized. Whatever hell it is seems to find me. And I just have to go with it and say, I am perfect just how I am, even if my image is not viewable on a screen. So I wanted to do some research into the facts about technology because, I've been doing that on these shows. It's really fun to dive a little deep. Here's why technology gives me anguish. 90% of the world's data was created in the last 2 years. There's billions and billions of things to know, and Sunny knows most of them as a news anchor. It scares me. Now, in 1984, only 8.2% of households had computers.
I had one.
In 2023, 93% of households have computers. Mm-hmm. Right? They are the thing, right? 2.65 billion people use social media, right? And 2.64 use it in a snotty negative way. 1 in every 5 Americans are described as cell phone dependent. And my husband is one of them. It is his wubby. He must have it with him at all times. AI, we talked about the scary part of technology. In retail is projected to be 4.3 billion in 2024. Just because I search for something doesn't mean every pop-up on my screen needs to be it. It is scaring me. I don't need another pair of caddis eyeglasses. I have some. Thank you. Kids are getting into computers as early as 3rd and 4th grade. So anguish comes for me because things happen and I can't easily snap my fingers and figure it out. I try to be better about self, solutions and to try to figure out a way. But I really have had a hard time. So I've decided that the only online I'm interested in is on this line of this journal, the line here of the journal. This is my on the line. I write it online. So girls, I want to know, since I'm the only person that has hell in technology, I want you to convince me. I want to play a game. Tell me why I should change my mind about technology. What is your favorite thing technology does for you? And I'm going to start with Shay. Tell me why I should change my anguish, honey. I need some help, some self-help, and I need some Shay help.
Well, this is literally why I got on social media in the first place. It's about connecting. And I have connected with people all over the world for gosh, so many years, because I started back in Google Plus days. And it has literally changed my life, because I will travel and I will meet people for the first time that I've known for 10 and 12 years just on social media. So for me, technology is huge before connecting with people. I love this question, by the way.
Okay, well, connection is something important. I'm getting a little more open. I'm kind of getting out of read only. Okay, I'm going to go to Sunny, who I consider queen of technology, because she started helping me with my podcast 5 years ago when I didn't know nothing about podcasting. Sunny, teach me something. Tell me not to have such anguish.
You know, my thoughts on technology have changed over the years. Okay. So I was all about technology. And then I went through a phase when I started realizing the world wasn't what I thought it was, where I was like, technology bad. They're listening to me. You know what I mean? And all this kind of stuff. And then I backed off completely from technology. And in that phase, I completely got off social media. I barely listened to any kind of media, period. I had to kind of work it back into my life and figure out where the boundaries were. And then now I'm kind of like, I'm still a little apprehensive about some stuff, but I come at it from more of, like an offensive, like I'm on offense approach now. Like, oh, you think you're gonna do? No, you're not. You see my positivity here. You see my frequency and my vibration. You're not doing that to me. So I have that kind of attitude more when it comes to technology.
I like the head bop. Yeah.
But well, you got to do the whole thing. So why do I use it? I have to. And for me, I would kind of echo what Shay is talking about as far as communication. I don't do it through social media, but I empower other people to create their own media, right? So Betsy, we kind of coached and worked together on your podcast. I've done that with countless other podcasters. Through the news, we talk about empowering people to become field messengers, because we need to get the word out, positivity out. We need to get the word out about what's happening really on our planet. So for me, it is about empowering people to communicate, because we have, been kind of on opposite sides and not even knowing why we're fighting, and just a lot of nonsense stuff that I think has to get cleared up. And then for me, a lot of times technology makes things a little bit easier. So I'm all about, making things easier. So I've got more time for my crazy dog and my kids.
Okay, well, that's a pretty good one, and I love and respect the technology you've helped me do. But Lindsay's one of the people I yell for help for technology. Thank you, Lindsay, for helping me many times. My young sister. Please convince me why I should not have such anguish with technology.
Okay, I've got this. Just because I know you, Betsy. I know the person that you are and how things work. And so I've got this. But so Shay is about connecting and using technology for better connections. Sunny's about giving voice to people and spreading the word. Technology, Betsy, can be used for art that will save the world. So you can create things now that never could have ever been imagined or created until this point in our experience as humans. And technology is making that possible. There's a killer app out there called Wonder, which I'm just having a total fun time with it. You can make avatars of yourself. And then I think about Canva, where you can do all of your marketing materials in about 8 seconds flat that previously took, 10 days and a person you had to hire. It's amazing what technology will do for art that is more accessible to people who couldn't necessarily make it. So I'm going to go with the art channel is probably the reason why you want more technology in your life.
Yeah, see, you had me at art. You knew you were going to come in that back door with art. Well, I will do a shout out to Canva, because I must say, of any technology I've ever experienced, being able to lay out and do designs in Canva has really been fun. And I am now doing the family memoir in Canva. I've really got a lot speedier in getting together some key communications for my camp experience years and now in my art years. So I'm going to give you that. You guys are convincing. You're fabulous women. I really appreciate you helping with my anguish. So I think we finished up with A, and I think we need to scat on out and get over to wow. Let's get on to our wow.
Well, I am so honored to talk about my friend MJ James. She is the just an amazing human being. But what's so funny is how we've been talking about technology with Anguish, with the read only, and with the bandwidth. And what MJ does is help with burnout. She is a self-proclaimed burnout business mom. She has an online coaching. She has a podcast under the same name. She is a ghostwriter for books. She is also has written her own book, and she also has started a pet sitting business. Talk about technology. Pet sitting business where everything is basically, other than walking the actual pet, everything is taken care of through technology. So she meets the people and it's all advertised, and she's amazing things, and created this business with her kids. Not to mention she homeschools them. So let's meet MJ, and I can't wait for you to meet her. MJ, thank you so much for being here on the segment of Underwired that we like to call Woman of Wonder. And I know that you're doing wonderful things in the world. And so we want to know, what 3 pieces of advice would you give to someone who is burned out? What do they need to know? What do you want to share with the world?
Absolutely. So the first piece I want to share is they don't need to live burned out. Like it's a huge thing. People really do think that they have to run and race through their life kind of on I have to do this. I have to do this. I have to do this. And we get to a routine where we forget that we actually have control over the things that we do. We actually can control and have intentional pursuit of the lifestyle that we want. And so that is the first thing. You don't have to live burned out. That's number one. I love
that. Yeah,
absolutely. Number 2 is self-care is not selfish. It is actually very selfish not to take self-care, right? We become the worst versions of ourselves when we don't take the time to maintain good self-care. So self-care is not selfish. That is my second piece of advice. And my third piece of advice is contentment is often an underutilized skill, and learning how to be content even in tough moments, even in trying times, even in a position of burnout. It's a skill. It takes time. You need to give yourself grace while you learn that. And then you need to cultivate that word as part of what your lifestyle will be after your burnout, post burnout. So those are my 3 pieces of advice for anybody who is living burned out or feels like they're heading towards burnout or is trying desperately to recover from burnout. So thank you for letting me share those.
Yeah, well, thank you for being here. I love first of all, I love everything that you do, but I love definitely the self-care is not selfish component.
Yeah.
And then how do we find contentment, and what does that look like?
Yeah.
That's huge, because I think we are, and especially in today's society, we are prone to run from one thing to the next, looking for that quote unquote fulfillment.
Yes.
And instead of resting in the contentment and what that could possibly look like.
It's true. It's very, very true. It's really hard to teach rest. That's a really, it's a word we throw around all the time, right? But It's a really hard thing to live a life of rest, where you're making sure that you have intentional time carved into your regular lifestyle every single day, where you are resting in your relationships, resting in your family life, resting in your work, right? Learning how to rest in that busy. It's a word that we throw around a lot, and I just don't think that we think about what the meaning is or what that picture looks like. And it's super important to proceed intentionally with rest as an important factor in our lifestyles. Otherwise, it's just busy, loud noise.
Right. There's no calm in the chaos, which, which is why we get the burned out, which is why we're head that way, right? Is because we don't find the contentment. We don't sit with that. We don't focus on the self-care. We don't focus on the rest. And we just start on what I call a hamster wheel, perpetual cycle of just busy, busy, busy. And in fact, some of us wears like a badge of honor, like I am busy.
Yes. Yes. It's so true. I was looking at a planner that I know somebody made recently, and the amount of lines they had under those words to do, just looking visually for me, somebody who lived a burned out life, who was that person who was so excited to have 955 things that I could get done every day. Yeah, I got them done, but I only got them done at like 2% instead of my full capacity, because I didn't have full capacity. I was spreading it too thin. So there's a lot of noise. There's really a lot of noise, and all we do is race from one thing to the next, and we don't know how to connect with the experiences that we're having. We don't know how to connect with the people around us correctly anymore. We don't know how to connect to the blessings that are around us or the beauty that is found even in difficult, times. That connection piece gets lost because we're so busy on that hamster wheel, like you said, just chasing it over and over and over again. Yeah.
Well, and I think that's the key right there, is when you connect, you are able to sit in the self-care of rest, and you're able to find the content that we're looking for.
Absolutely. 100%. Thank you so much for letting me chat with you about this.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being here, because I know that you are an amazing coach, an amazing author, woman, all of the things that you're doing in this awesome podcast called Burned Out Business Mom, and just know that you have such a gift to offer this world. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you so much, Shay. I appreciate you right back.
Yay! Yeah, she really hits it hard on all of the things, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, Lindsay, what was your biggest takeaway from what she had to say?
Oh, I'm just so grateful to not be living the burnout life ever. I have grown past it as well. And I just loved what MJ had to say. I mean, self-care for me is sacred. I will not give it up. And those of you who know me and get to know me, it's like, yeah, I'll even give up other things because I really have to take care of me. And I've gotten much better at it. And I loved what MJ had to say about that. Don't set it aside. And I just want to harp on that because it truly has not only changed my life, but made me a better person. So, yeah.
I love that. Self-care is sacred. Betsy, how about you? What was your biggest takeaway?
That we should take a little nap here in the show. Just a little quiet nap. And if we all just, Michael put on some soothing Elton John music, and we'll all take a little nappy. I loved contentment. Like, be happy with what you got. I really thought she was awesome. What a great pick. Really good. Sunny, I'm going to throw it to you.
Yeah, she talked about rest, which not necessarily just sleeping, but rest. And it made me think about, tying back into technology today, how so many people aren't able to rest because of this technology that we have with us constantly.
Right.
Yep. I remember I was sitting not too long ago with, it was my mom and my mom's friend. And she looked down, she's like, your phone isn't anywhere near you. And I was like, I don't even know. Like, my family gets so mad at me because they're like, where's your phone? I tried to call. I'm like, I have no idea where my phone is. And my mom's friend was like, oh my gosh, my daughters would freak out if their phone wasn't right next to them all the time. And I'm thinking, and that's one of the reasons I left social media, that constant pinging, buzzing. I was just like, I can't, I will never rest. And honestly, I think that's intentional. We're not at our best when we don't rest.
Hey,
Dr. Hey there,
in the house.
I'll be here all night.
Underwired t-shirt. Woo!
So that was my takeaway, because a lot of time technology can make life easier if you let it. But if you constantly fill that time with other things, like your phone constantly going off for various reasons, then what are you really accomplishing? Yep. You got to rest.
Rest. You got to get the rest.
Well, and I think that was part of our conversation too, after the recording, was how many distractions we have and how much we're not finding contentment because we're so distracted.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
Crazy. So with that said, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we have more. So stay tuned.
This is Real Talk. We discuss important issues impacting our world and how we as humanity can come together, overcome our obstacles, and move forward towards a bright and beautiful future.
Hi guys, we're back. I think that was part of a scary movie way back when, or is it They're Back? They're back.
It's Chucky.
They're back. Or they're here. I don't know. I think I'm confusing my movie.
Here.
Okay, but we are back. So welcome. Today we're talking about technology, and now it's time to do our outside the box segment. Outside the technology box segment. Okay, so I want to show you guys a video. Producer Mike and I recently took a trip. We went to Las Vegas for something called the National Association of Broadcasters Convention, Conference, Expo, whatever it's called at the end. NAB is what we called it. And it's something that's held every year. And so obviously we're in broadcasting, we do everything, for UNN and United Network. And so we went into see what other kind of technology was out there as we grow things and as the network expands. And we just had a lot of fun. So we did this quick little video. You guys may have seen it on the news, but if you didn't catch it there, you can watch it here on Underwired. Take a look.
Hi, I'm Field Messenger Mike.
And I'm Field Messenger Sunny, and we are here at NAB, which stands for the National Association of Broadcasters, here to see what is new in broadcasting and tech and to have a lot of fun. So come join with us.
Come on, let's go.
The NAB show is held every year in Las Vegas, and it's huge. At last year's event, there were more than 50,000 people attending, including 12,000 international, representing 155 countries total. The show is part conference and part expo. We're spending our time talking to tons of companies who are innovators and using technology to tell amazing stories. Some of these displays are really impressive. Check out these huge LED screens, which is an alternative to green screen. You basically put whatever video you want behind you. You could be in a newsroom 1 minute, and then with a click of a button, you could be in a snowstorm, in the jungle, in space, or whatever the story is about. This is the newsroom of the future. Cameras come in all different sizes. They even have robotic ones that you can operate from anywhere in the world. This is probably one of our favorite demos. This company specializes in using augmented reality to bring stories to life. Take a look at how these graphics just pop up on the screen as if they're actually there. And here's a feature Kim is going to love. By placing an optical tracking system on your camera, you can physically interact with anything you draw. No more whiteboards. For all of you Star Wars Mandalorian fans, the tech you're about to see is used to make some of those scenes look super realistic. It's all about lighting. You have a huge LED screen in the background, and it creates matching lighting on the sides and above. This gives you the reflection and the shadows to make it look like you're really there. Now, I'll do just about anything to catch a good story. You probably won't see me on the road with one of these, but a stationary motorcycle with digital backdrop, robotic camera, and wind coming up from the fan below? No problem. So, there you go. We are having a blast planning the future of UNN, and I'm sure we'll be coming back here for years to come.
So that
Way
was
to go,
Fun.
That's
Natural
great.
Yes.
writer. Woohoo!
And there were so many different rooms just full of booths, demonstrations, all that kind of stuff. You guys just saw just a little tiny bit of it, but it gives you an idea. And I thought it tied in so well with everything we're talking about today, because technology, who knows what we're going to be doing in the near future, because I feel like it's like a floodgate is about to open, right? Mm-hmm. And things that had been holding us back from being able to really be able to express ourselves and get technology out there, whatever you're dreaming up in your head, whatever, project and, product, whatever it is, the limitations that we used to have on us are no longer going to be there. So the first thing I think about is just okay, these are some things that are available now, like that cool, I don't know if it really came to life on here, but when we were in that Ferris wheel thing. Yeah, so that is awesome. The technology from Mandalorian. That's what they use. And they have these light panels on the side that mimic what it would be like. Because you would have, if you were on a Ferris wheel, at nighttime, the lights would be changing, things would be moving. So it's just kind of amazing, what they can do now. And I'm just so excited for where we're going with stuff, because especially in the area of healing, I know we have an upcoming episode we're working on about healing. the technology behind being able to heal people of various things, emotional, physical. It's just so exciting. And so it was fun to hang out, to see some of the stuff face to face, and to just really just kind of let your mind go about, where we're going with things. So that's what makes me excited about technology. I don't know, Betsy, did it scare you even more?
No, actually, because I'm married to it, right? So my husband, Doug, does all that technology. He owns those screens. And just one example that everybody could relate to that's listening. In the old day, you used to have to hang lights, right? Way up on a big truss, and they all had electrical cords, and it was really hard. Today, the LED lights are multiple changeable. They're this big, they're battery operated, and they can be any color of the rainbow by simply a switch. So none of that technology scares me, because I live with that every day. That's really fun. So it's just that my iPad and pad and paper and line and online, that's the stuff that scares me. But now that I know, now that I take a breath and take a nap, I think that's going to be what's going to cure me from technology. When it's not working, when you're digitized, go take a nap.
Go recharge yourself.
Self-care.
Plug in.
Yes, recharge.
Yeah.
Yes.
Plug in with yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. That was a lot of fun. So let's check in with our mailbag. Lindsay, take it away.
Yay, mailbag. I think this is my favorite part.
All right.
This is where we get to listen to what our fan base is talking about. And I first want to share one of the comments that we got. Great job, ladies. I'm determined to be brave, respectful, and willing to adjust. LOL. I know, so are we. It's really tough some days. Fun, funny, and really inspiring. Well done. Thank you, Lisa. We just want to say you're the bomb. Thank you so much for being our fan. I know. Yay. It's so good. We have awesome fans.
Yay.
And we hope the rest of you will write in some questions. So thank you. Let's go to question number 2 for the mailbag, shall we? Okay. This is from Jenny. How do you follow your heart and do what makes your heart sing, even when there are logical reasons why you should not fulfill your life's purpose? Ooh, Jenny, this is such a good question, because life's purpose is often one of those things that stays hidden until we sort of just figure out who we are and what we really are all about. So who wants to grab a hold of that one and run? I have a lot I can always say about this, but I'm going to pass it off. Betsy, go. Yeah.
Well, it is not logical that I could sit in my house in Keystone and make art to celebrate God, and that people could wear it down the street in a dress or a duster or a scarf. That is not logical. And if you had told me even 2 years ago, you would be making art to make the world better so people could wear art and be happy. Because, fashion comes from rich people, and fashion comes from big brands, and fashion doesn't come from your basement or your art room. And so I just think it's really the cool part about technology. Look, I'm coming around, girls. Coming around. The cool part is technology. Technology lets me take a digital image of art that I have created with my own hand, my own heart, and have it printed on fabric that can be cut into shapes and sizes and for people to wear. So again, I think to our viewers' question, logical isn't necessarily the winner. It's follow your heart and do what lights you up and makes you happy. And if you only do it for that one person, Sunny, who wears a scarf, Lindsay, who has an entire wardrobe, Shay, who has a reversible dress in the intro, if you just do it for your friends on this show, it's all good.
I think that's a beautiful way to put it. Honestly, it's really about staying the course, even when it's painful. So doing things that come from our heart, often there will be others who don't necessarily get it. And this is going to be that part where we go back to Sunny's, or the earlier conversation about bandwidth. And Sunny was talking about how she also just has to, do things because that's what her life is expecting of her. That may be what you have to do. Stay in your heart and do it anyway. Shay, how about you? You got a comment on that one?
Yeah, well, it makes me think of Sunny's thing about read only. Excuse me. When you're logical, you are stuck in your head, which means you're probably in fear. And so we know that fear shows up as overthinking. We also know that fear will show up as procrastination along with negative self-talk. So if that is where you are, then know that that is not true. And you just have to tap into your heart and tap into your gut. So you might have to get outside, do something different. But for me, the whole life purpose key, I believe, is really when it's about sharing the lessons that you've learned from the obstacles that you've overcome. So when you can get to that point, that's when I think you're really following your purpose. And when you see those other people light up because they get it, when you're talking about what you've been through, then your heart lights up. And the brain kind of stops for a moment. So that's kind of what I think of when I think of that question. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Shay. It's really true. Get fear out of the way because being you is what the world needs. Haha. Sunny, what do you think?
Yeah, I've kind of pride myself on not being logical about a lot of my decisions that I've made. That doesn't mean that I don't think things through. There's a difference, right? That Shay just pointed out. Sometimes we get caught up in our head instead of our heart and what our heart is telling us to do. So the first thing I thought of is what we're doing at UNN. You know, Mike and I joke a lot about, Mike's a former truck driver. Okay. So he'll be like, I'm just a truck driver. I'll be like, I'm just a mom of 4. And we're putting on the news every day. And there's a lot of people that help us. So it's not just us. But in the very beginning, it kind of was just us. And to think that our plans are to take this and to spread the truth around the entire world. And it started with 2 people that really didn't have any business doing that. If we would have been in our heads logically, we never would have got anything off the ground.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Right? Never would have happened. But we had a vision for where we wanted to take things, and just knew that with God's help, we're going to get there. So I kind of, if something's too logical, I'm kind of like, no. I can't be in my wheelhouse.
That's awesome. No, that's beautifully well said. And sometimes you just got to do it. You know, that's the way to get out of your head too, is just go run and do it. What did Mike say at the beginning of the segment? Let's do this. That's a good mantra to have, you know.
Let's do it.
Right. Just do it.
Just do it, Nike. All right, let's go for the question. Our third question of the day in the mailbag was, I just connected with Underwired and also found 3 more through Telegram search that are porn. This is from Nancy. Oh my gosh. What in the world? Yeah, howling. Okay, I don't even have an emoji that matches. What are you doing?
Oh my God.
So because it has to do with the bra.
Did I not tell you guys? Did I not tell you that I had a side gig? I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
That's
to tell you.
I mean, I do have an alter ego. So I mean, there's that.
Stormy. Just know that in social media, as in Telegram, there are fake and false places. Our Telegram channel is full of love and goodness, and this show and these happy faces are pictures of our dogs, our businesses, things to uplift and inspire, and questions for you to be part of our show. So if you see porn, probably not the original Underwired live. Just saying, unless you girls have something you want to share.
Yeah, it's a different kind of live show.
Yeah, so here's what our Telegram channel looks like, just so you know. Join us on Telegram at Underwired Live so you could really see where to send your questions, send your comments. We really appreciate that. And we are interactive. That's why Underwired is to uplift and inspire the whole world. And we want to inspire your world. So let us know what's going on with you. And if you do, Lindsay, tell them what they get.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be sending you one of our kindness coins that Shay's holding up. And Sunny is too. Turn them around, ladies. It's the other side that you actually want to pay attention to, because that side is the one that says you are one of a kindness, which is what we believe at this station and at this particular show. So we want you to engage with us, and we really do not want you to send us your porn pictures. That's not our show. Okay?
No.
So if you were confused by that, our Telegram is definitely at Underwired Live, and we will send you a kindness coin if your question is picked for our mailbag portion of the opportunity.
Okay. It's been a great show. We're so glad that you joined us, and we'll see you next time on Underwired.
Yes.
Peace out.
All of it.
I just wanna love you.